The woman had merely gone to take a shower when, inexplicably, the newspaper on the sofa caught fire. By the time she opened the door, she discovered the entire room had become an inferno. Terrified, she rushed to call the fire department, but before she could finish speaking, the flames grew increasingly intense. To save her life, she could only run toward the door. However, in the next instant, she was completely engulfed by the sudden surge of flames. Yet strangely, when the police arrived at the scene, they found no trace of any fire. The entire room remained completely intact. Even more bizarre, the medical examiner discovered that the woman's muscles were severely dehydrated and curled, with extensive burn marks on her skin. These signs indicated she had died from exposure to extreme heat. This raised a puzzling question. How could someone burn to death in a place where no actual fire had occurred? The police specifically reviewed surveillance footage from the crime scene. The footage showed the woman entering her home and never leaving again. They also confirmed she had indeed called the fire department before her death. While everyone was baffled, the medical examiner presented an even stranger discovery. A black mass was found in the victim's brain, and mold samples were collected from her sinuses. The examiner believed this could be the key to solving the case, as it was the only clue they currently had. However, the specific composition would need to await laboratory results for confirmation. What no one expected was that immediately after sending off the samples, another equally bizarre case occurred. When the outside temperature was 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, a company executive was found suffocated to death in his office, wrapped in blankets. The medical examiner found that the victim's nasal mucosa was in an ice-cold state. What made it stranger still was that this office was one of the scenes from the first case. When interviewing company employees, they all stated they had witnessed the executive enter his office and never come out again. It wasn't until 2 hours later, when the secretary came to deliver documents, that she discovered he was already dead. After the autopsy, the medical examiner found the same type of mold as in the first case. Both victims had this fungus in their nasal cavities and brains. This was clearly a serial killing. With multiple bizarre deaths occurring within 3 days, the higher-ups dared not take this lightly. They believed these cases must be handed over to an experienced detective. For this purpose, they brought in a detective named Jack. Jack had solved countless cases and had never failed. Once the police transferred the case to him, Jack indeed lived up to his reputation. Upon arriving at the crime scene, he immediately noticed something suspicious. His first glance caught the air cooler on the wall. Opening the casing, he discovered a small steel ball inside. The same items were found at both victims' residences. Upon testing, the interior of the steel balls had been hollowed out, with 3 small holes drilled on the surface, filled with the same mold found in the victims' bodies. Jack concluded that the killer had fired these steel balls using an air gun, then utilized the air cooler to rapidly disperse the mold. Particularly in enclosed environments, just a few seconds after turning on the air cooler would cause the inhalation of large amounts of the fungus.